Damn, that Monova ramp was cathartic, better than yoga or something. Okay, robust ANOVA and t-test approaches. And I do want to give a shout out. This is primarily the work of Rand Wilcox. I had Rand come and give a workshop on these approaches at WPA back when it was in Los Angeles. Were we in Los Angeles? Yeah, I guess so. Back when we were in Los Angeles or somewhere like that, somewhere in the LA area, I should say. This is for any situation when assumptions are violated. And the main idea here, and there's a lot of different ways to go about this. Instead of focusing on means, we're going to use medians or other approaches such as trimmed means, where we cut off the most extreme scores. The reason why that is that when we have non-normal data, the mean's a bad estimate. And you know that probably from intro psych. You can see how the mean is always drawn off into the direction of the outliers. Measures like the median are far more stable, and similarly, a mean that cuts off the ends, cuts off the outliers, is going to be more stable. This all uses a package called WRS2. And this example actually comes from a study that Dr. Howe brought me on to following some reviewer comments, which were pointing out exactly the problems with some of the standard analysis we've done. It comes from an article called 3 Decades Later, The Life and Experiences of Midlife Functioning of 80s Heavy Metal Groupies, Musicians, and Fans. This appeared in Self and Identity, and it also won whatever society publishes this journal. It won their Paper of the Year award. One of the variables we examined, and this is all true, is lifetime sexual partners. Just thinking that through, groupies, musicians, fans, some people are going to be having sex with a lot more people just because of their status, the band members in particular. So one thing that we saw is wildly different standard deviation. Standard deviation for college students was around 7. For professional musicians, it was around 450. Very, very skewed. And you can see the mean values, band members, and keeping in mind, this isn't these aren't great measures because they're all highly skewed because somebody's got given pretty high numbers. But you can see the different groups, as you would expect, band members are coming out the highest. You can see what a PP plot looks like. You can see what the the breakdown by groups with box plots looks like. So all very non-normal. And you can see by the histogram, what's really driving this are these 3 very active people with 500, 1,000, 1,500 partners. Among the research team, because there was some knowledge of who the musicians were, we're speculating that one of these is definitely is Vince Neil. And this was verified actually by somebody who was in my class a couple years ago. He worked in a strip club in Las Vegas, and he said that Vince Neil would leave with 2 or 3 women every single night, always different ones. So probably where those numbers are coming from. This is, of course, why people are in rock bands. All right, 3 different ways to do this. There's a number of different approaches. I just show you all of them. These are all basically equivalent approaches. You'll see they all give similar p-values. You get an F value with one of them, with 2 of them, no F value with the other. So there's minor differences here. It's just different ways to do the same thing. People argue about which way to do it, but I usually just use the median test, med one way. Again, 3 procedures all doing the same deal. What they all tell us is that even once we've taken dealt with those outliers or are using statistics that aren't affected by outliers, we still have a pretty big effect. We can also do multiple comparisons that are robust, and you can see that here. Not surprisingly, band members had more sex than everybody else. There are a couple of problems that pop up with these robust approaches. Um, Using a trimmed mean approach here, I wasn't getting this to run. The reason why that is that the procedure defaults to cutting out the most extreme 20% of scores from each end of the distribution. So zeros are going to get cut out, but the ones are going to stay in because that would be over a 10% cut. The problem is because, and this was largely in the college student group, there were only about 10% of people with 3 or more sex partners in the college group. Keep in mind that this is from intro psych classes, so we're talking about 18, 19-year-olds. Got plenty of time to catch up. So only 10 people with 3 or more sex partners. All of those got axed. I mean, only 10%. All of those got axed. So the 20% trim mean values left each group with just 1s and 2s for the comparison of mean and standard deviation. So for both the groupies and professional musicians, it just left one person in one of those groups. So it was impossible to calculate a standard deviation, which is why we had no analysis possible. This can be fixed pretty easily. You can set the trim, or you could just go to a procedure using the median, which will be effective regardless. You can see how we presented this. I kind of invented a way to do it. There's no APA style for this, so I just said robust F, robust ES. I don't even know what the hell it's called. So I just invented some notation here, and nobody squawked about it, and it was fine.